On this channel, I love talking about the console ports of Doom, the weird, the wonderful, and the downright audacious attempts to cram Doom where it sometimes doesn't belong. From the janky 3DO port through to the ambitious GBA offerings, Doom has graced many consoles in its time. But perhaps the most adored of these console ports is the PlayStation 1 release. It's a version of Doom that dances to its own tune, taking the classic Doom experience and twisting it into a more dark and surreal experience. This version introduces coloured lighting, changing the look and feel of classic levels. It has its own soundtrack, composed by Aubrey Hodges. It's a blend of atmospheric and sometimes terrifying music that shifts the tone of the game completely. It even has the Nightmare Pinky, a unique enemy exclusive to this port. Not only this, PS1 Doom crammed in 59 levels from Doom 1 and Doom 2, as well as its own custom levels. Beyond all this, the game plays exactly as you'd want Doom to play on a D-pad controller. It wasn't perfect, performance on some of the larger levels is very inconsistent, but it was a hugely ambitious offering and one that has developed a cult following. So well in fact, they ended up on Sony's classic range, indicating they sold over 500,000 units. What might surprise a lot of people though is that Williams didn't stop there on the PS1. On October 1st, 1996, a year after the release of the original Dooms on PS1, Final Doom touched down. That's right, a lot of people aren't even aware that Final Doom landed on PlayStation 1, but it did. In fact, it was the first console port of the Final Doom collection. It retains all the things which made original PS1 Doom so unique. That atmospheric music is still present, as is the coloured lighting. It also comes with 30 levels, featuring TNT, Plutonia, and Master levels. On paper it all sounds great, but unfortunately Final Doom on PS1 has some issues that come along with it. The biggest problem is performance. Final Doom's levels are notably larger at points than Doom 1 and Doom 2. Less revisions have been made to these levels to get them into the PS1. This leads to more consistent performance issues on those bigger levels. It has been stated in interviews that the team at Williams only chose to port Final Doom to PS1 as a quick cash grab while the team focused on Doom 64. That means that this wasn't getting the focus that the original Doom on PS1 did, and it shows in the fact that a lot of the levels here aren't tailored for the console. It gives this version of Doom a jittery feel, everything feels a bit slower, and that's a shame. Now this isn't to say that the levels haven't been altered at all, or parts of the levels haven't been removed. Enemy placements have been altered and changed as well to try and help this out. It can mess with the experience if you've already played with the PC version, and it does strip some of the more iconic moments from these levels out. For example, the Cyberdemon encounter has been removed from Nukage processing, arguably the most iconic part of that level. Rather awkwardly, the Spider Mastermind appears in the end enemy crawl but never appears in the actual game itself. The box to this game also incorrectly boasts over 30 levels, which hints that the original ambition was to add more levels into the mix, but it seems that time or lack of desire won out. The other issue is that for a game called Final Doom, it doesn't feature all that many Final Doom outings. Of the original 64 Final Doom levels, only 17 make it into this collection. The rest are master levels, which make up the biggest selection of levels in this package. Perhaps most disappointing for Final Doom fans, only 6 of Plutonia's levels make the cut. 11 TNT levels are present, which is better, but I suspect a lot of people playing this version would have preferred to see more Plutonia outings, as that's the fan favourite episode. The selection of levels is also a tad disappointing. Some of the better levels from TNT and Plutonia are missing outright, even though I suspect they would have been excellent candidates for this version. Plutonia in particular gets shafted hard on this, with most of its levels coming from the opening section of that game. Only one really comes from much later. It's a very disappointing decision and kind of robs Plutonia of its more glorious moments. The final level for this whole collection ends up being Plutonia's Onslaught, which is not really suited for the job. It ends up being a bit of a damp squib, even if they threw the only Cyberdemon in this entire game into that level. As for the master levels here, I've never really been a true lover of that level set. I feel the overall quality isn't that strong, and while there are standout selections from the pack, I find a lot of the levels are a bit too tedious or not really what I want to play. That being the largest selection of levels here really does bring down the experience for me. With all this being said though, Final Doom on PS1 does have some positives. It allows people who own the PlayStation mouse to play with that, something that the original Doom game on PS1 didn't allow. Now I've never tested this as I've never actually owned a PlayStation mouse, but I can imagine that having the choice to play with mouse controls or the controller was actually a huge deal back in the day. The game also features full support for system-linked multiplayer and cooperative experiences, meaning that once again you can bring your friends into the levels for deathmatch or cooperative play. Even though this feature isn't widely used, the fact that it's there is pretty great in my opinion. I also have to say that even with the performance issues on show in this one, the game never truly breaks down into unplayable territory. It comes close, but it never actually gets to that point. Plus, it's very important to keep perspective when talking about Final Doom on PlayStation 1. Gamers were a lot more accepting of these kind of performance issues on consoles back in the day. It released mere months after Final Doom arrived on PC, and that's quite an achievement in this age of gaming. Even if the collection lacks a lot of what I think makes Final Doom, it's more PS1 Doom, and for me that's a huge part of the experience. It's both an ambitious and safe offering from Williams, a version of Final Doom that offers more of what PS1 Doom delivered in a slightly worse performing way. Do I feel that they should have called this Final Doom? Not really. I think calling it Final Doom is a touch misleading, but I can understand that they wanted to emphasise those levels were actually in this collection. Ultimately, this is a fun footnote in the history of console Doom games. Final Doom wouldn't grace consoles again until its release as part of the PS3 Classic Doom Collection, which until the Unity port made Final Doom something of a console exclusive to PlayStation consoles. Doom fans have also worked hard to bring most of the missing levels back into the fold. PSX Doom: The Lost Levels is an add-on for PlayStation Doom Total Conversion, which aimed to bring back not just the missing Final Doom levels, but the missing Doom 1, Doom 2 and Master levels. It's very much worth a look if you want to see what those levels would have looked like in this style. Officially, the only way you can experience Final Doom in this form is to pick up a copy of it for PlayStation 1 and play it on your PlayStation 1, 2 or 3. Final Doom on PS1 is an interesting outing that has its flaws, but continues to deliver a fun, strong and interesting experience for Doom fans. I would personally recommend emulating the experience using DuckStation if you're really curious, or just play the PSX Total Conversion that I mentioned. It's a shame that this version of console Doom flies so far under the radar. Getting Doom onto the PlayStation 1 this early in its lifespan was quite an achievement, and the fact that the three Williams console games all fit together so well thematically really just shows that they were onto something really special here. They produced a trilogy of Doom games that really stand out from the crowd. Final Doom may not share the same ambition as the original Doom on PS1, and it may at points feel like a rushed job. A lot of the music is reused, the level selection isn't the best, and the performance issues will put a lot of people off. But looking at this package for what it is and what it brings to the table, it's really hard to argue with what was on offer here. This was another slice of PlayStation 1 Doom that gamers in the mid-1990s who couldn't get their hands on a PC to play the original games were able to experience for themselves. If you're an avid Doom player, I do recommend going out of your way to experience the PlayStation 1 Doom games. While Final Doom on PS1 falls a bit short compared to the game that came before it, it's a great time capsule for what Doom could achieve on PlayStation 1 console. But I'd love to hear what you thought about the PlayStation 1 version of Final Doom. Did you ever play this back in the day? Have you ever experienced it? And do you feel that there should be a way to play these on the modern Doom re-releases? Let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.